All right, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our TensorFlow course, and we're still doing our malaria covenants module. Let's have a look at what we went over today. Now, yesterday, if you recall, we were going over the process of using our channels and figuring out how we got our exact channels and our input feature maps. And today, we're going to pick up where we left off. So now we understand why we have the 6 channels, like we went over last time, and our 60 by 60 by 6. Now, how do we obtain a 60 by 60? The way we obtain the 60 by 60 is by applying this formula, which we've seen already. The width out or the width output equals the width input, take away the filter, plus 2 times the padding, divided by the stride, plus 1. So if you remember originally, our original output, our output feature map here was 64 by 64 by 3. So you need to keep that in mind. So we just have the output equal 64, which I just showed you is 64 by 64. The filter size, which is 5, 0 padding, a stride of 1, which will give us this simplified equation, which is 64 take away 5, which will be 59, plus 0, still 59, divided by 1, still 59, plus 1 equals 60. That's how we obtain our 60 by 60 by 6 feature map. And this is how we get our 60 by 60 output or input feature map. So that should be input, because the 64 is the output. That's how we obtain our 60 by 60 by 6 input map. So from here we move to the subsampling pooling layer. And these are the parameters of that pooling layer we're going to use here. We have a filter size of 2 and a stride size of 2. Now this gives us the filter size and the number of strides. To obtain the dimension for the pooling, the formula is slightly different, obviously, because here we don't have the pattern. So we have x minus filter divided by the stride plus 1. And that's this equation here. The x output equals x input, take away the filter, divided by the stride plus 1. And if you remember, our new x is going to be 60 because we went from 64 by 64 to 60 by 60. Now this will take us from a 60 by 60 by 6 to a 30 by 30 by 6 feature map. Notice we still maintain the number of channels, but our input feature map has been subsampled. To obtain this, we have x, which I explained x is 60. So this is the equation we would have with this formula. So we have 60 take away 2 equals 58, divided by 2 equals 29, plus 1 equals 30. So that's how we would go from our 60 by 60 by 6 to our 30 by 30 by 6 feature map. And that's this equation that I just showed you here, just in case you don't know how I did that equation, why I did that equation. So we have the x output is going to be 60 equals the x input. So 60, the output equals the input. So x input is going to be 60 also. Take away the filter, which is 2. It's going to be 58. Divided by the stride, which was 2, is going to give us 29. Plus 1 was give us 30. That's how we got the 30 by 30 by 6. Now notice we still maintain a number of channels, but our input feature map has been subsampled. Now we maintain the number of channels because we still have the number of filters. The number of filters hasn't changed. We still have 6 filters, so that's why we have the 6 channels. And next we went over the pooling, max pooling, but I'm not going to get into that right now because that's a whole different subsection we spun off to this morning. And I did understand all of it. We did walk through a lot of it, and we did do some examples. But I'm not going to dive into that right now because it kind of deviates from what we just did. I just want to leave those equations fresh in your mind because it was kind of a different scenario. But for now, we will leave it there. We will leave it there. But of course, we will pick it up tomorrow, and I will keep you guys posted every step of the way. But for now, this is the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.